Hello, I'm Richard with EV4U Custom Conversions, and welcome to another episode of our Karmann Ghia Repair, Maintenance, and Improvements series. Where we left off is we're preparing to remove the transaxle from the vehicle. In the last episode, we removed the motor from the vehicle, and so what we're going to do in addition to replacing the transaxle is we're going to replace some associated items that are old and worn, and this is just the best time to do that. Why wait till they fail? Because some of them looked okay, but we're going to just go ahead and put new ones in right now, and we'll give you a look at those right now. Okay. Some of the items that we're going to be replacing are the transaxle mounts. The ones that are on there don't look too bad at a glance, but they're not that expensive, and this is the best time to do that once we have everything out. So we're going to replace the 3 mounts, the 2 sides and the front. Then we're also going to replace the coupler that couples the shift rod to the shifter shaft on the transaxle. So we're going to replace that with a new item that has urethane bushings, and it's a much tighter setup and should last a very long time. The whole idea in regards to replacing this and the next item I'm going to show you is to cut down on the slop that we have in the shifting mechanism. The Volkswagens are notoriously kind of sloppy shifters, and that's because they have a long shift rod. I mean, the shifters in the front half of the vehicle, and the transaxles in the rear. So to connect that shift lever to the transaxle, we have this shift rod, which is several feet long. And of course on the buses and so forth, it's even longer. So this is what supports it in the back. The shaft from the transaxle goes in here, and the shift rod connects here. And so the shift rod is supported in the rear by the transaxle shift rod. So that's the rear attachment and support. In the front, where we have our stick shift go down into the tunnel, there has to be a way to support the front of that shaft, that shift rod. And that's supported right behind, if this is our shift lever, it's supported right behind it here. So this is where our shift rod is supported. And this is what it looks like. And this is mounted directly below the shift lever. And our shift rod enters here. And there's a little cup in the shift rod that the ball from the shift lever goes into. So what's happening when you're shifting is that shift rod is rotated and it's moved linearly. And the weight of that shift rod, like I just explained, is supported in the rear by our coupler and in the front by this little hanger and this little plastic bushing. The plastic bushing is rather thin. It's not a whole lot of thickness to it. You grease up the bushing and the shift rod real well, and that's how that thing sits in there. Well, they're little time bombs. They just don't last as long as you'd like them to, and they're kind of a pain in the butt to change. And we're going to show you how to do that in just a bit. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you a few things. One, I'm going to show you what I think is an easier way to remove the shift rod than what most of the books, how they tell you to do it. It's a kind of a slow, painful way that they do it. I'm going to show you a much easier and faster way. And then I'm going to show you how to get rid of this setup right here. Now, this consists of 3 pieces. You've got a little clip right here. And that clip keeps the tension on the rod. This bushing is got a slit in it, and then that fits into this hanger. So here's the hanger without the bushing. Here's our little bushing. It's a $1.95 part, and it's worth about that much. You can see it's a real thin wall, and they've got a rod rubbing in here all the time, and there's pressure on it. It's being pushed. You know, when you're rotating that rod, the way it does it, it's pushing forces outward on this, and they just don't hold up. So what happens then is, once you've worn through this, and this basically breaks in two, now all we have is our hanger. And this is just a thin piece of metal here. And that shift rod then is in here, all loosey-goosey. And so as it continues to move back and forth, it's wearing down this. So then this gets worn, they put a new bushing in, the bushing doesn't fit very well, and it just accelerates, you know, that movement will just accelerate the wear on this. Not to mention sloppy shifting. Without this being nice and secure, you'll have problems between, you know, first and second side of things, and third and fourth. So in other words, the Karmann Ghia was notorious for being difficult to get in the second gear, and that's the gear that we took off in all the time. So you come to a stop, you put in the clutch, you put it in the second gear. You know, you typically had to go forward and back a couple times to make sure you were pulling over, making sure it was all the way over and it was going in the second gear. Many a time I went to take off and you find out it's in fourth gear, and just not quite as quite the acceleration in the fourth gear as you have in second gear. So anyway, that's because of this bushing being worn, and I'd be willing to wager that this piece is worn as well. Another way that you know this is done, not just the poor shifting quality, but as you'll be able to hear it. You'll be able to hear that metal shift rod banging against this. And so I'll show you that right now. Okay, so we've pulled back the carpet, and so we can expose the base of our shift lever here. We've marked it so that we know where this is, so it goes back in the exact position so that our shifting is correct, because this is slotted. This top piece is slotted, and I'll show you once it's removed. But anyway, I was talking about how you can hear the thing in there, so listen to this. That's that shift lever or shift rod in that hoop, in that hanger. Clang, clang, clang. So when I was wanting to go into second gear and you pull it over here, well, instead of that thing rotating, it just moves over. So it went into third and fourth, no problem, but it was second gear. Typically didn't have a problem getting in first. It was just second gear was a little tough. So we're going to fix that permanently. I'll show you what we do to make that repair to where that will never be sloppy again, and we'll never ever have to do this procedure again. But before that, there's something else we have to do. All right. Well, before we can remove and replace this, if we were going to go back with this stock setup, which we're not. But either way, we need to remove the shift rod. Now the shift rod, I don't know, it's about 4 feet long. It's over 3 feet, I'm pretty sure. We can measure it when we take it out. It fits in here, like I mentioned before. And from here, it goes to the back of the vehicle. Also on the front end here, we can't go that way because when we run out of vehicle, run out of tunnel, and there's that end on it, and I'll show you a photo of that, that there's a cup that shift lever, there's a ball on the bottom of the shift lever that fits in. Well, that's larger. That will not come through this. So going that direction isn't an option towards the back. We have to go out towards the front. Well, towards the front, well, we got to come through the car. So Volkswagen has accommodated that. There's 3 cover plates that must be removed in order to remove that shift rod. And so there's one at the end of the tunnel, which is kind of harder to see, but we'll show you that. And there's one at the on the body here that is down in the spare tire well, both on the Bug and on the Karmann Ghia. I'm going to show you the ones on the Bug here because they're easy to see, and you'll see that in a moment. And then there's an outer cover plate on the Bug, or it comes out through the horn hole on the Karmann Ghia. So let's take a look at that right now. Okay, this is the front end of a VW Beetle. Here's that front cover plate I was mentioning. This has a nut on the inside here of the spare tire well. Then the next cover is right here. And again, one little Phillips screw removes that cover. Then on the back side of that, this is your twin torsion beam on the front suspension here. There's a cover plate. This is the front of the tunnel. There's a cover plate there that must be removed. And then that shift rod is removed, comes straight on out of the car. Let's take a look under here and see if we can see that cover plate. You see it? You can see the 2 bolts that hold it in place. Okay, so that's what's involved to prepare for removing that shift rod. Those cover plates must be removed. Our stick shift will be removed. And then that rod can go out through the front of the vehicle. And so we'll show you how we do that. Well, as with so many things on the VW, this is a 13 millimeter. Be careful, this is under some spring tension. Remember to mark it so you can put it back where it comes from. Same orientation. Grab my spring here. There you can see. Here's the ball. And then what's below that is the little shift gate here. This is what is used to keep you from going into reverse when you move it over for first and second. You have to push down to bypass this gate, and that allows you to go further over this way to access reverse. So let me get some better lighting and we'll get a camera shot. You can see this hanger, and it's exactly like I told you. The bushing is not in the hanger, it's just hanging loose here. All right, there's the shift rod right there. And there's the bushing, or half of it I should say. And let's see if we can get a shot. Try to get in here with the camera with a light and my old carcass. Yeah. You can see it or not, but there we go. If I can get the right angle again here. There. But you can see that hanger. It's just metal against metal. So, put my finger in here and you can hear it. It's metal against metal. Okay, so one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to rotate this thing. We're going to rotate it so that the cup is facing downward so that we get clearance on the top of this. If we didn't rotate it, it would be hitting the top of the tunnel here and so forth. So now it's rotated with the cup facing downward. Okay. So I still have to pull the covers off of the Karmann Ghia here. And once I do that, I'll show you our first little trick here. Okay, I've removed the cover plates. And on this model of Karmann Ghia, I also had to remove the front bumper. And so now you can see we have a straight shot. I'll try to... I've got the hole lit up so you can see it better. But anyway, I'll show you what we're going to do to pull that out through those holes and out of the tunnel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this length of PVC pipe, and it's approximately 6 feet, and I'm going to put this in through the front of the vehicle, run it to where I'm to the shift rod, and then I'm going to connect this to the shift rod and just draw it right out. The way that most of the books tell you to do it is use some long needle nose pliers, and it's a kind of a slow process. I just don't have the patience to do it that way. This way, you know, it's been 30 years since I've done one, but this is how I used to do it. We'll see how it works today. But what I do is I take the length of PVC and I cut a notch in it like this, basically about half of it removed. Then put a hole through it and put a wire tie. And I'll show you what we do with this once we get it on the inside. Okay, I'm going to feed this into the vehicle here. And let's try to look and see where I'm going. Really quite easy. There it is. So let's take a look at the view from inside the vehicle. Okay, what I'm going to do next is I'm taking a separate wire tie and I'm going to loop it around my shift rod. So now I've got the shift rod, okay? Then I'm going to get my ABS pipe with this hook and bring it up, and it's going to go on top of that shift rod. Difficult time doing this and filming at the same time, all in a tight space. But there you can see, now I have a wire tie that is around the diameter of the PVC pipe and the shift rod. Okay, so the ball or the socket that the shift lever ball fits in is to the front here, and so my wire tie is behind that, and it's holding those two together. So I'm going to clip this right now with a pair of dikes, and I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Next, see how we've got the that other wire tie. I just turned this 90 degrees, and I'm tightening up this other wire tie right here. And that's the one that went through the hole in the PVC pipe. You can see how the how this is fit in my slot in my PVC pipe. And I'm going to pull this tight. Well, I guess I've already got it all the way tight. So then I'm going to cut this one, and then we're going to pull it out the front of the vehicle. I'll meet you up front. Okay, so here we are up front. Here's our PVC pipe for shooting. And so now I'm just going to slide this gently. And you can see how quickly and easily it comes out. And I have to turn it here to fit through the hole. And there she be. So you see how I did that? And if you're using both hands, instead of trying to hold the camera, and it actually is quite easy to capture this. And there you have it. I can yank all day on that. So this is exactly the same way as we will put it back in. So we'll clean this off and move on to the next step. You can see here's that retaining clip that went on our piece, and this thing is just cut in two, as they always are. So later on in the video series, we're going to show you how we take care of that. We're not going to use one of these stock bushings. I'll show you what we do instead. Stay with me. Okay, I'm going to be headless in this one, but I want to show you the setup here. This is the stick shift with the shift rod without the bushing. As you saw when we looked at it in the vehicle, the bushing had been cut in two, which is very common. Here it is. So this is kind of what was left of it right here. And so that's commonly what happens, is right here, this is the point where it goes into the hanger, and it just from that rod running back and forth, it just cuts in half. And so then what you have is the metal to metal. And so you have that sound that we heard inside the car, remember? All this kind of noise. And that's because it's rubbing metal against metal here. So I'll give you a little closer up view of that. So anyway, what that bushing does is it centers this in that, and so instead of metal against metal, you have metal against this. I'm not sure what these stock ones are made out of right in the moment, but you grease them up well. You grease up the rod real good, and that buys you a little bit of time. But like I said before, the bottom line is they're a time bomb. And so later on in this series, we're going to show you the way that we fix this problem, which is a permanent fix. Never again have to visit this problem. So anyway, that's it for this video. We'll move on to another part of the project. I think what we'll do next is we'll take a look at the rear disc brakes, install those, because where we stand right now is we're waiting on the transaxle. So as soon as we get that transaxle in, we'll finish pulling ours out and make the swap and get ours shipped back for the core, and then that's when we'll start putting some of these things back in the vehicle. So stay with us. Like I said, the next episode, I think we're going to hit the rear disc brakes, and I hope to see you then. Thanks for watching.